Yes, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Dose podcast. Today we have a very, very special guest. I don't even know where to start with the intro for this one. In the last couple of years, nobody has put the same amount of work into this scene as this man, and it has been incredible to watch. BISON BRIGGZ, how is it going, man? You good?
Yeah, cheers, mate. It's a nice little introduction, that. Cheers.
It's all good, man. You've earned it. Do you know what I mean? And it's the amount of times that, as an outsider looking in, I think I would have just fucking washed my hands with the scene if I was in your shoes. The utmost respect to you, man. And as a fan, thank you for everything you've done. It's been incredible to watch. But with battle rap for you, like, you've been on the scene for a really long time now. But
Yeah.
how was it initially that you got into battle rap?
Randomly, to be honest, I've been watching battle rap for years, like 106 and Park and Smack. I used to buy Smack DVDs on a market stall near my house. So they used to sell like bootlegs, so you could get like, Serious Jones versus Murder Mooks, and you had everyone from J Mills and everyone. I was like heavily involved in watching it as a fan, but I never knew it existed over here. And then I seen this league called Jump Off pop up. I started watching a bit of that. It never really grabbed me, to be honest, over here. And then one day there was an event called Don't Flop, which came to Manchester, and Raptor was meant to battle against Els at this event. I'm going back probably 11 years now. Literally 30 people in the room, and that's including the battlers and cameramen, like it was an empty venue. I had no idea what to expect because the only thing I'd seen was like poorly uploaded sort of YouTube quality videos, so I thought it was just going to be a bit of a shit show, to be honest. But funnily enough, Raptor got arrested on the Friday and obviously no-showed the battle the Saturday. Didn't tell any of us who were going down to watch him because obviously he was inside a prison cell and he couldn't call anyone. So I went down to the event, Raptor no-showed, and at this time I was making music with Raptor, who was in a group together. So Elle sort of jumped on the internet, started saying a load of shit about Raptor and all this sort of stuff, and then I was sort of defending Raptor on the internet at the time, and Chronicle, if you remember Chronicle, he used to run Don't Flop North. I knew Chronicle from the Manchester scene anyway. He just sort of hit us both up and was like, why don't you two do it? You defend Raptor sort of thing, and else you get to battle one of these guys we was in a crew called Upper Level, who was pretty big in Manchester at the time. So yeah, I just randomly fell into it. It wasn't like I went looking for it. Basically, Raptor no-showed, which meant I debuted. So maybe debut against Els.
Right, and it's like, were you kind of aware of this scene beforehand and like going to events just as a fan or anything, or was it literally just a case of jumping straight into battling?
Yeah, no, jumping straight in. I'd never been to that was the first event I'd ever gone to, battle rap. Oh, sorry, that's a lie. I went to one called Battle Scars, which was like, it was nothing like it is now. It was sort of more jump off, like freestyle, 60 seconds over beat, no writtens. But it was sort of like a nightclub event. It wasn't like a battle event. It was like live performances, and they had like a little freestyle tournament. That was actually the first night I ever met Shotty. Shotty was in the final against the girl called, I forgot what she was called, but yeah, that was the first night I met Shotty. So that was the first live taste I'd have, but going to that Don't Flop event was the first sort of written context that I'd ever seen. I didn't even know this sort of scene properly existed, if that makes sense.
No, I see what you mean, man, and I was exactly the same. Like, I remember the first battle I saw, I just assumed that it was all freestyle kind of thing and didn't really know anything about it whatsoever. And obviously it came clear later that a lot of the stuff people were saying early Don't Flop days definitely wasn't freestyle. Like, but it's been a really like cool journey to watch for yourself. Like, you took a bit of a break for a few years. Did you go to like Australia or something? Is that right?
Yeah, and I went to Australia for just under a year. It was. I went out there for work. I battled 3 times in Australia, but they weren't like, I wasn't taking it as serious. You know what I mean? I wasn't really writing. I was just sort of turning up, freestyling a little bit, and just getting involved in the scene out there. But yeah, so I had probably 18 months out before I came back.
Okay, nice man. And yeah, I can imagine Australia was going to events out there must have been a pretty cool experience as well.
Yeah, that's mainly why I battled out there. It was a chance to cease part because I was working in Melbourne, so I had the opportunity to fly to Sydney and Brisbane just because of battle rap, you know what I mean? So while I was there, Decoy and Runs Got Beef sort of heard through the grapevine. I don't even know how he found out, but he heard that I'd landed in Australia, and he just messaged me saying, "Do you want to do some battles for us?" So it was just a cool way to see events because one of the events was like in an outdoor venue on the beach. It was sick, like just a completely different environment. I mean, the talent standard at that time wasn't where it was in England, so I knew I wouldn't have an issue battling over there. But yeah, it was cool to see. That was the first time I'd battled abroad, so it was cool to just understand different cultures and how they adapt to things and stuff.
Definitely, man. And like, I was actually speaking to. I don't know if you're aware of an Australian battler called Ted this morning.
Yeah, no,
Um, the first like Aussie guy that I've had on the show so far, and like the scene over like the hip hop scene. I've kind of been to Australia, but only briefly.
yeah.
Um, my old man's from New Zealand, so we've stopped there for a few days on the way over there, kind of thing. And the hip hop scene in Australia, I don't think we'd ever appreciate over here that there'd be a big scene there, but it's a massive part of like the music culture in Australia, and it's surprising how big hip
Oh,
hop
yeah,
and
it's massive. When I was over there, so I went over there for work. I was working in a recording studio, recording a band. Um, so I was sort of mixing and mastering their music. But one of the things that drew me to there was sort of I knew how big the hip hop scene was, so I was doing my own shows out there and stuff.
yeah,
Trying to just have a go at making music over there. But when you're in that sort of scene, you realise how they're like die-hard fans. Like I think we take it a little bit for granted over there because there is so many events that go on. There is so many sick rappers. When it was Australia, it felt like you just come into hip hop at the first time it had ever come around. You know, the excitement around it. Like if you could rap a little bit, people would obsess with you and stuff. It was mad. It's nice to be appreciated as an artist when you go to places like that as well.
yeah, I can imagine, man, definitely. And it's like you say, we do take it for granted here, and like if there's a big artist that you want to go and see live, chances are it's going to be in London, and getting to London for us is simple enough. Do you know what I mean? Whereas over there, I think most of the big gigs happen in Sydney, and it's so kind of spread out that it's hard for people to get to shows and stuff. So it's they just appreciate whatever they can kind of see locally, I suppose, and
Yeah,
it's
they really support
exciting,
one as well. Like
definitely.
they really support their own artists. That's one thing. Because the thing is, like, even though England's quite small, if you come to Manchester, there's 200 sick rappers. Whereas you go to Melbourne, there's 200 good rappers there, but the population's that big. They all love each other. Like, they all get loads of support. They all share each other's stuff, which is something you don't really see over here.
No, definitely, man, and it's like I was saying to Ted, like I don't know how aware of it they are in Australia, but like I'm sure you're aware of JDZ Media over here. Like they've recently started doing videos with Australian rappers even.
Yeah.
And there's a guy on there, I think he's called Chillin' It, and he's hit over 1 million views on JDZ Media. Like not many people have done that so far. I think it's only a select few out of even the British artists. I think it's only like Bugsy Malone and maybe Devilman and a couple of others, but
Yeah.
like it's on like 1.2 million views in about 3 months. I think like it's mental that they're just so supportive over there, and everybody's getting behind their artists, which is it's amazing to see. It's quite refreshing to see as well, because like you said, we don't get that over here as much, but
No,
it's
definitely.
very cool that you got to go over there though, man. And like so in terms of you, like I don't think I've seen any battles from Australia that you were in. Who was it that you went up against over there?
So I battled three people. I battled Cryptic, who was the Got Beef champion at the time. Um,
Okay.
I battled The kid from Adelaide, the kid had battled Conceited and stuff like that over there. And about a kid called Educate who was like got beat sort of top up and comer. The only person who beat me was the kid, but to be honest, I did the Educate and the kid battle in the same day, so I did 2 battles on 1 card.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and I stumbled in my third against the kid. The kid's a good. I was trying to get the kid over for Don't Flop. I thought the kid had a lot of potential. He wasn't taken as serious as a lot of the other battlers in Australia. I don't know whether it's just because he was sort of like that was the best way to put it. He was kind of like he didn't look like your average hip hop artist. You know what I mean? He was quite clean cut. I think he was quite successful business wise, and so he just didn't look like a battle rapper. So I don't think they sort of bought into him, but he would have done really well over here. Like I say, he battled Conceited and put on a good performance and stuff. But yeah, done
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen that back in the day, and like he's not been around now for a long time, but I'm aware of who he is. The other two not so much, but
yeah, don't know if any of them. I think Cryptic's still battling. I don't think Educate or the kid are.
right, okay. But no, that's sick, man. It's so cool that you went over there as well. Like, there's, I mean, what, maybe 2 or 3 British battlers can say that they've been all the way to Australia for a battle. So
Yeah,
it's
cool.
it's cool to see that you've been there, man. But like, you've been involved in a lot of battles now. But if you had to pick your favourite battle that you've been a part of, what would that be for you?
Uh, there's a few to be honest for different reasons. Like Babalam, for example, just because it was in Manchester at the Ritz, which was such an iconic. If you're from Manchester, it's like you perform at the most iconic venue in the city,
Yeah,
apart from like the arena. But the Ritz is like everyone has performed at the Ritz, so to perform there sold out for Don't Flop it was the first event I was involved in as sort of I wasn't officially staff, but I was part of the event team. Um, and obviously I won that battle as well, so it kind of added to the whole occasion. There's that one. I enjoyed my debut against Els, like I say, just because I'd never done this before. It was new, it was exciting. I got a lot of reaction from it. I got quite a bit of buzz off the back of it as well. You can't really replicate the adrenaline rush you get from your debut if it goes well.
no, of course.
Well, Blaine in South Africa was good just because it went. I had no expectations going into it, and just the atmosphere was insane. I'd probably say them 3. My top ones, Soul. I enjoyed battling Soul just because I was a big fan of Soul. So to go against someone like that was like a tick off the list sort of thing. I always want to battle people that are better than me because there's no point battling just for wins if it's not going to do nothing for me. So, but yeah, I'd probably say out of them all, I'd probably say Bamalam for the occasion, probably Els for the actual battle me debut.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense, man. And like, yeah, just touching on Blaine quickly as well. Like,
Yeah.
were you aware of Blaine before you battled him then?
No.
Because fucking hell, that guy is good, man. Like, I'm a big fan of his.
I think he only had about 4 battles when I battled him. The only footage, because I done that battle off the back of, I think it was Locksmith. I think I battled Locksmith and then Blaine. So Raptor was going over, and Jinai, the promoter for Scrambles, just basically said, "Would Briggsy be able to come over with you?" So don't know if they had an opponent ready for me. It was about probably about a week before I flew out. I'd agreed to go over anyway because obviously South Africa is a big opportunity. I'm probably never going to go there again. So I thought I'll do it, don't matter who I'm against. And then he came up with Blade, and the only thing was there was one YouTube video which looked like it was filmed on a potato. So I couldn't really gauge how good he was by watching it. So I just thought I'll just go in with try and put on the best show I can for the South African crowd. And luckily for me, Blade was fire as well. Like people said, we had Battle of the Night, and the card had like Raptor on there, Marv One was on there. There's some big battles on there. But the crowd were just going wild. Like it's probably the most. It was a pit format, but it was like people were slapping walls and like you could tell it's a crowd who don't have a lot in their own personal lives just because of financial status and the way the country is. So they really appreciated the fact people went out there and gave them a show, which was, I've never seen that sort of energy in a room. Yeah, Blaine is fire. Like, pretty much from the back of that battle, I came back to the UK, was telling everyone to book Blaine. So I think I was the first person to bring him over, then Code Red brought him. But hopefully we get to see him back here and trying to get him on Premier Battles. It's just got to make sense.
Yeah, no, of course, and it's not cheap getting people over from that part of the world, unfortunately. But I have actually reached out to Blaine. He's going to be on the show on Monday, I think it is, and I'm really looking forward to speaking to him because he is like the South African scene as a whole. Like has some incredible battlers, man. Like I'm a big Jin Ike fan as well.
Yeah.
The time you went out then, was that when Raptor battled Jake Baker, was it, or was it the Lou Cypher one?
No, it wasn't any of them. It was he battled. He was what's he called? Cerebro, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
He was like Scramble's champion, I think. I think it was Cerebro. It was the same event as Marv won Jinai. I don't think any of the footage ever came out from the event.
Right.
Because it was live stream, but I think they just used the live stream event and then leave it.
I didn't realise Raptor. So Raptor's been 3 times now then.
Yeah, Raptor's been 3. When I was in South Africa with Raptor, we went into a nightclub and people recognised him and were calling him the White King of Joburg.
Fucking hell. That's sick, man. I love that. But it must have been a pretty surreal experience as well, like going over there. Like it's a completely different world.
Oh mate, it's one of the best places I've ever been. It's so humbling as a place to go. Like for the second you get off the plane, obviously we all have hardships over here, but you don't realise what it can be. Like when you go there and you see people living in houses made of like, fucking stop signs and stuff, like it just makes everything else go into perspective for you. But it's such a beautiful country as well. Like the amount of shit over there to see and just to witness is mental. But I'd love to go back again. I don't know what's going on with Scrambles. I don't think it's going anymore. But that scene over there they've got is incredible. Some great battlers. The fans love it. Definitely advise anyone who battles to go.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'd love to go over there myself. I've not been, but it looks incredible in places as well. So yeah, I'm proper jealous that you got to do that, man. That's amazing. But do you have like a least favourite battle of yours then? One that you're just not a fan of?
Fucking hell, where do I start? I've got a few. Mystery. I've never watched back. That's mainly because I choked 3 rounds, but I went on a night out the night before with Raptor for his birthday and Raws, which if you're in this scene, they're the 2 people not to go on a night out with before you battle. We got back to the hotel at 7:10 in the morning and we had to check out at 8. So yeah, it was just a mess. Like me and Raptor were sat in the train station outside the event trying to think of ideas and excuses why we couldn't turn up to the battle. But yeah, that was a bad one. I just had to that was one of them I had to fight through with a hangover. But besides that, battles I actually performed in, there's been a couple. The Eek battle, I wasn't too arsed about just because I didn't really want to battle Eek. I just kind of got put in a position where I had to sort of do it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, there's not many. To be fair, I pretty much select who I'll go against. I'll always say yes or no to people, but Eek was one, like, Eek was up and coming. Don't Flop asked me to do it, and it was like, I wanted to be on the card, but there was no one else sort of better being offered. But yeah, besides that, Mr. Reed, just because I knew I had some shit wrote for Mr. Reed as well, so I was just disappointed in myself. That's probably the worst one I've done.
Yeah, no, I can understand that, and like, fair play to Raptor for getting through, because that was the event where he battled Shuffle, is that right?
Yeah, he battled Chuck. That's literally the only reason we turned up to the event was because Raptor had already been paid a deposit and he didn't have the money to pay it back.
Yeah, that's fair, and fair play to him for getting through his material as well, because, I mean, off no sleep, like, I don't know how he does it. Fair play to him on that front, but
yeah,
the mystery battle was a bit of a weird battle in general. Like, the thumbnail to the video kind of says it all in that sense. Like, but
Yeah.
it was a weird matchup anyway. I thought I do like Mystery, but he kind of he's kind of a little bit Americanized, if that makes sense. I think it's
Yeah, I know what you're
it's
saying.
only really worth booking him for the international matchups because he doesn't battle often anyway. But
Yeah.
like I think like your chiller performance and your Lotte Zay performance and stuff like that, he shines. Whereas when he battles someone from the UK, he doesn't seem to come across as well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right.
it's just a bit of a strange matchup from the beginning, I think. So it's
Yeah, he's so tall as well. It's unreal.
yeah. How tall is he?
No, I'm 5'3". When like, I know the thumbnail shows it a little bit, but when I was stood in front of him, like, I honestly reckon my forehead was probably belly button height on him.
Right.
He's got to be. I couldn't even put a number. 6'4", maybe 6'5",
Right. Okay.
which
Yeah.
compared
Because
to me at 5'3".
no, I appreciate that, and like I'm 6'6",
Oh,
so I've only ever had I've only ever been to one event where someone's taller than me, and that was Lazy Arts Jack. He's like
he's
probably about an inch or two bigger than me, but Mystery, I've not actually like I've seen him on stage, but it was when he battled Lotte Zay, and I was really far back in the crowd, so like it was hard to gauge on how tall he actually was. But I'd be interesting to see. But in
yeah, I'd be
like
interested to compare him to Laser. I reckon him and Lazy might be about the same size. It's their frame as well because they're both really skinny, aren't they? So just
yeah,
makes them look taller.
no, definitely, yeah. And like so far, then what's the most amount of time that you've spent traveling to an event? Like I'm always interested to hear this because I know some promoters have booked battlers and the travel that they've booked has been fucking horrendous. Like,
Yeah.
have you had any of those experiences?
Uh, I've had ones where not really length, but just the travel itself was horrendous. Like when I battled Mixie for Don't Flop at Distinction, I think it was. That was my first battle back from Australia. Um, I just didn't have any travel booked. So I can't remember what the agreement was, but I think I was meant to have an hotel room. Um, it's only in Leeds anyway, but it fell through the hotel room for whatever reason. I think someone was fighting at the event. Might have been Mickey Worthless, I'm not too sure. And they had to give them a hotel room. So it meant I didn't have one, but obviously it was past the last coach. So there was me, if you can imagine this as well, there was me, Shotter, Raptor, and the whole of Mosh team at the time. Slept in the coach station in Leeds. So we all had
Sure.
to put newspaper down on the seats and just sort of have one seat each. So we all sat up. And there's a picture of it somewhere. I'll try and dig it out. Um, yeah, that was horrendous. I've had a few like that. I've had one where we missed the train back and we had to stay in London for a night. Mainly little things like that. I've had nothing. I've had, nah, no, no, there is a terrible one. Norway. Right, so me, Raptor, Bowsker, P Soldier went to Norway for the battle. I don't think I've ever spoken about it. Went to Norway and everything was cool. I mean, there was loads of little fuck ups that happened at the event. Basically, the promoter had never really thrown a big event, so he was a bit out of his depth, but he was trying. Um, everything was all done, the event. So straight after the event, um, we all go out for a beer, everyone gets drunk, wake up the next morning. So we probably don't get home till 4 in the AM. About 8 o'clock in the morning, the promoter wakes up. We're all staying at the promoter's house. So he wakes us up and he's like, I need you to sort of move to a different place today because my kids are back. So he's like, yeah, no worries, fair enough. So he makes us pack all our stuff up, drives us to this industrial yard. When I say industrial yard, I'm talking like 2 buildings and nothing else for miles. We're in the middle of Norway, yeah. And he's like, it's got a studio in there, stay up all night, make some songs, da 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 da. Yeah, cool with us, as long as we got somewhere to sleep. So we get in there, me, Bowski, and Raptor. P Soldier ends up going back to the promoter's house, staying there. We get there and he's got no heating in this room. We're in a concrete shed, yeah. He's not giving us the password for the computer and he's not answering the phone, so we can't make any music. So we're sat in this concrete block. The best way to describe it, we were sat in a shed. No covers, no pillows. The guy left us, like completely left us. Didn't answer the phone to us all night. Just didn't do anything. It was fucking horrendous. We went to try and find some food because we had to leave the building, and I think we was walking for 45 minutes till we see the next shop. Like that's how isolated we was from everything.
Fucking hell.
Luckily, we managed to get hold of just a fan. He was just a fan who came to the Norway event, who had us on Facebook or something, and he knew where he was, so he brought us a load of pizzas and stuff, which shouts to Jan if he's ever listened to this. Jan, oh my God, you saved our life. There was literally a point, yeah, me, Raptor and Balsky were sat there, and we was all just nearly crying. That's how bad it was. Like, we was hungry, we was all hungover, there was nowhere to sleep. We all ended up putting shit on the floor and just lying on it in the vocal booth, all three of us together to stay warm. That's how cold it was. And then the guy in the morning didn't even take us to the airport. A fan had to come and pick us up and take us to the airport. So he just ditched us in the middle of Norway. That's definitely the worst experience I've ever had. Everything else has been pretty good for me. South Africa was fine. Australia was fine. Everywhere has been pretty nice.
That's fucking mental, man. And like, so I've been a battle rap fan for about 11 years now. The first battle I saw was O'Shea versus Lego. So like very early Don't Flop days, but I was still like, I think when that battle came out, I was still in like year 9 at school, so I didn't get to go to an event for a few years. Yeah. And then as soon as I turned 17, I moved abroad and I lived abroad for about 6 years. So I, like, for the most part, I was just watching on YouTube and stuff and didn't really get to go to any events. But when I moved abroad, I lived in Sweden. So like, I know how fucking vast and like spread out the Scandinavian countries are, and that is a fucking ball ache, man. Like, was the event actually in Oslo then, or?
No, it was in a place called Sandnes. I don't know if you know it.
Okay, yeah, I know where you are. So,
like, I think it is literally the bottom of Norway.
Yeah, even more remote than like the surrounding area of Oslo as well. So that's an absolute ball ache. But
about 5 buildings in the whole town. Like, it was nothing there.
Yeah, shit, man. And then like, so the promoter just didn't bother getting in touch or anything like for the rest of the time you were there then?
No, so the only way we had any contact with him was P Soldier was still staying it. P Soldier played it smart, so he said he left somewhere at the promoter's house, so he went back there, and then he's obviously just managed to word the guy up, and the guy said, "Fuck it, you can stay here for the night." So he's had a warm apartment with a bed and everything. So we're talking to P and saying like, "Yo, we need some food," or like, "We're stuck here." None of us had any cash left on us because we was going back that morning, so we'd all just blasted the money on the night out. So yeah, we were just like, just deserted us. Yeah, just deserted us. He messaged us about a couple of months after it had all happened and just apologised for the way it was handled. But yeah, it was an experience, I'll say that much. God.
Imagine, fucking hell, man. And yeah, definitely won't be going back to Norway anytime soon then, I'm guessing. But was the event like big? Like, is there still a big following there? Because I know there was back in the day, and I think they're starting to get there again now. There's a new league started called Street Cred, I think, which I know Matter was booked on a few months ago. But was the event that you were at big?
It wasn't anything significant. It was probably, I'd probably say the size of like a small UK event, like a small room, but probably 100 people tops. Like, that's tops as well.
Like a Fiddlers kind of event.
Yeah, I'd probably say a little bit thinner than Fiddlers. Probably about 80 people. That's with the battlers and staff there. Yeah, but everyone who was there was like heavily involved. They knew what the scene was. Like, they knew all the battlers. So it was like to be fair, the event was pretty dope. Like, everyone sort of knew each other. It was a nice little vibe. There was loads of little ciphers going on in different corners of the room. Like, it was a proper hip hop heavy sort of crowd. But yeah, it wasn't selling out at venues or anything. It was was like a nice little easy vibe event.
Right. No, nice man. And yeah, I know that there's a big following there, but I don't know. Like, I don't think a lot of the people that follow battle rap actually go to the local events. I think they're more a fan of like what we're doing or like King of the Dot and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
still cool that you got to go there, though. I guess, which even if it, in the most part, it was a bit of a shit experience, but
Oh yeah, I'm still grateful, mate. It's like you say, it's not every day you get the chance to fly abroad because you say a few rhymes. You know what I mean? Like you still got to take it as
no,
a sin.
that's it, definitely, man. But fucking expensive country, right?
Mate, I swear. Oh, I bought a Jack Daniels and Coke, and it was. I think the barman who was English said it's the equivalent of like £16. And I was like, Jesus Christ! I never drank a Jack Daniels and Coke so slow.
Do you know what, mate? 16 quid is actually quite good. That's not bad thinking about it. I remember I when I was in Sweden, I went over there for like a couple of nights, and we got there and there was like this pizza place underneath the hotel. We went down and got like a pizza and a beer, and it cost us about 50 quid.
That's a lot for a pizza and a beer.
Oh, mate, it was nuts. But Sweden's not too much better. I found out the hard way my first ever night out. Got chatting to this girl at the bar, and I was like, "Do you want a drink?" And she looked at me as if to say like, "Who the fuck offers to buy people drinks?" kind of thing. And I didn't know what was going on. And next thing I knew, I'd spent 50 quid on two White Russians. So it's
She must have thought you was made of cash.
yeah, I don't even like White Russians either. It was a fucking shit time, but yeah, but no, it's cool that you got to go there, mate. Have you been Denmark as well? Is that right?
I've not been Denmark. We was gonna do Premier Battles, England versus Denmark event with Stefan. I forgot what his league's called. Um, I forgot what his league's called, but yeah, I was gonna do the event with them at the start of last year, but it just never panned out. I think Stefan ended up doing something. I think he did an event and then decided against doing another one. But yeah, something I'd love to do. I'd love to be fair, mate. The further I can go with this, the better. Like I've been Canada to watch an event. I'm not battled in Canada. But yeah, it's good going to different countries and seeing how people take to it there.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. Is it Rap Slam? I think it is in Denmark. Is that right? Yeah. They do book a lot of the UK guys, man. It's good to see like a lot of people going over there. Like even the more obscure names, like I know Mac Sherry's been over there and stuff. So they definitely follow the scene in depthly over there. But like for yourself, then, what over the years of going to events, what would you say is the best battle that you've seen live?
Best battle scene live was probably Shotty versus Tony D.
Yeah, fair one.
I don't think the camera does justice either. Like the video footage just doesn't. The atmosphere in there was insane. Like there was one point where I think it was on Shotty did his slogan. You could literally feel the stage shaking.
Yeah,
Obviously the microphones were only attached to the battlers, so you don't get the crowd. But yeah, that was such a sick battle to watch live. There's been a few. What else have I watched? Nothing else is sticking right out. That's definitely the best one I've probably watched live.
yeah, no, it's a good choice, man. Unfortunately, I wasn't at that event either, but it's definitely one of my all time favorite battles in the UK. Anyway, it's just such a it needed to happen as well, and I do think it happened at the perfect time. Like it was obviously it's the whole Shotty Luna thing was always overhyped to me. I would have much rather seen Shotty go up against someone like Tony or even someone like Sensor. I think made a lot more sense with Shotty, but
Yeah.
it was a great battle and great timing, man, and
Yeah, no.
part of UK history as well.
Shotty and Loon is just one of them, and they were both at the pinnacle of UK battle rap. So it sort of like makes sense on paper to do it, but the reality of it probably wouldn't live up to what we think it's going to live up to.
No,
Rap's
100%.
completely different. Sort of like Raptor and Shuffle. Like the styles were complete. Obviously, that was a great battle, but the styles were so completely different. You decide who won that battle and what style you prefer. I think that's the way Shotty and Luna would go.
Yeah, I completely agree. But yeah, and what would you say is your favourite battle that you've put on as part of like either Premier battles or like your time with Don't Flop?
That's a tough one. Favorite battle I've put on. I was happy with Shotty and John John. I think if we would have done that in Manchester, it would have been a much better battle to watch back.
I do agree, yeah.
Shotty Taylor would have been incredible as well. Best battle I've booked. Raptor Red Flag was brilliant. Don't Flop wise, what have I done there? I mean, obviously, I worked on the team that did Shotty Toner, so I'll put that there. Chris Leeson Soul was a good battle.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, there's been a few. I'm very heavily like I'm a big, even though as my mate, I'm a big fan of Raptor. So you know, like Raptor versus Shocks, Raptor versus Quill. I'm big fans of them battles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably say. Oh, that's tough. I couldn't pick one to be honest because he's different. His reasoning's
No, of course.
There's been a
I
few.
understand that, man, and there's been some incredible battles down the years. Like personally, I think if I had to pick my favourite off the top of my head, it'd probably be Soul Ilmac, to be honest.
Soul Ilmac, yeah, not like that. I put that at the top.
It needed to happen, and it had been on the cards for so long. It was amazing to see that. But like,
yeah,
I was saying this to somebody the other day. I can't remember who it is. Like in terms of the big events that Premier Battles have done, I've been a bit not unlucky as such, but like the first All-Star game, I was at a wedding in Sweden, so I missed the event, and then Apex, I was in Thailand, so I missed Apex as well. But I made it to the All-Star game, like just gone. So like I have been to one of the big ones at least. But like for me, the Shotty John John battle was up there with the best battles that I've seen live. And
yeah, it was good to see.
What's your opinion of the crowd on the day?
I thought the crowd, if I'm being totally honest, I thought the crowd were weird all day.
Yeah.
It was like nothing was really capturing. It's hard to. The worst thing is that day I was ill. Like I couldn't really take the day, and I ended up spending 3 days in bed after that event, and then I was in hospital for about 2 days. I had a bad infection, but so I couldn't really do anything. Like if you watch the footage, I'm sort of just where the DJ deck is. I'm just sitting down watching the battles. So I couldn't really take it in. But when I was editing the battles and watching them back, like yeah, it just felt London crowds for me are a bit hit and miss. It's like they wait for someone to react before they react, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas when you go to like Manchester, Leeds, Birmingham, everyone's there having a beer. Sometimes they get a bit rowdy, but that's part of being there. And they just enjoy it. Whereas I feel like London crowd, you have to please them before they'll react to anything. It doesn't matter who you are, which, you know, it makes sense. They're there to be entertained. But sometimes it's like, fucking hell, come on, wake up a little bit.
Yeah.
But they did.
I mean, I remember Mab versus Real Sick is, for me, like it's the battle of the day in the sense of both of them smashed it, because I think John John was good against Shotty, but he wasn't phenomenal, if you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
like Mab versus Real Sick was happening, and I was reacting quite loudly, and some guy was stood in front of me, just turned around and told me to shut up, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing here, man? Like, why are you here if you're not here to react, kind of thing. It was just a bizarre atmosphere a bit, and like through
weird.
certain battles. But
I mean, I've done 2 events in London with Premier Battles, and to be honest, both of them was a bit shit crowd wise. And to be honest, you can't always blame the crowd. Like, if you look at the All Star game, that Oops and Villain choked pretty much every round.
Mm.
We started with the academy final, which was good. It was good battle for them to get the performance out, but they weren't. The crowd weren't there to see them two. So we started that off, and then Villain came out, choked 3 rounds. Matter and Big Cannon was a bit slow. The event took like 2.5 hours to start because I had half of the card in the building and half of the other battlers were just late.
Yeah.
Get a bit restless, and it's hard to maintain energy and people being excited for battles to coming up when people who battle. We had battlers that were from London that didn't turn up till 4 o'clock. Like, you live 2 minutes from the venue, turn up when we asked you to turn up.
I know.
So it's hard generating excitement consistently all day. Whereas that's one of the reasons we love doing it in Manchester, because when we do Manchester events, the battlers are there on time, the fans are at the door when we open the event, and it's just the excitement's there. Everyone's having a beer. Obviously, the Manchester crowd gets a bit rowdy, but sort of adds to what we do because we're based on footballing culture, so it adds to it a bit. But yeah, it's a shame how it turns out. But like you say, you can't always blame the fans. At the end of the day, the battlers are there to entertain. If they're not entertaining you as an audience, you're gonna switch off, and that's not just battle rap. That's anything. If I go to a concert and the artist I'm watching is boring, I'm probably gonna leave.
Yeah. No, I agree. And like, in terms of Premier Battles events that I've been to, like I've been to both London events now. Just getting to London from Cardiff is easy. I can get a coach for a tenner, and it takes about 3 hours, kind of thing, each way. So it's easy, and it doesn't cost too much. But Manchester, unfortunately, I've still only been to one event, which was the first event you ever did, so match day 1 of the first season.
Yeah.
And it was still to this day one of the best events I've ever been to, man. Like it was incredible. Just as soon as you guys walked out on stage, it was booming, and I'll never forget like O'Shea screaming Manchester is a shithole over and over again and just getting an incredible reaction in Manchester. It was just, I love that event so much. But for me, it's like, it's hard getting to Manchester from Cardiff, unfortunately. Like,
yeah,
if I was to get a train, it's normally about 150 odd quid for a return, and a coach is normally about 30-40 quid, but you have to stop in Birmingham and change there, and it takes really long to get up there.
Yeah,
and especially with it being like daytime events, it just makes it quite difficult without having to pay for a hotel as well. But I'm hoping to get to some more events this year, even if it means I have to drive up. Really, like it'll be like I want to get to some more. But I know you've got plans to kind of distance yourself from putting on events a bit now, which after all the shit that you've gone through with putting these events on, I completely understand the decision. But will you still be playing like a big role behind the scenes with Premier Battles, just not as much with booking battles and putting the battles on?
To be honest, the idea was to completely go, just because I've got so many other things going on in life at the minute. But the way this year's panned out, ideally I wanted to leave in September after Apex 2. So I've already got 3 battles locked in for Apex. I'm going to try and make it bigger than last year. And what I was going to do was, when it gets to September, do Apex 2, and then whoever takes over, we've got a few people in mind that we're in talks with. I'd stick around till December, but behind the scenes, just sort of doing the transition over. So whoever takes sort of the reins of Premier Battles, they're not just going to have it thrown on the toes, like everything will be sorted out. And that's sort of where I wanted to go with it. But obviously this year's not panned out with this coronavirus stuff the way we wanted it to go. So I probably will stay on board until Apex 2 is done and out of the way. And then I'll probably be behind the scenes for about 6 months doing the same transition. But yeah, I'm one of them. If I do have any sort of foot involved, I'll never leave. And I'll just end up doing what I was doing now because I have a. I'm like a perfectionist. If I'm doing something, I have to be all in with it. I can't just be sat on the sidelines. Like with Premier Battles, you know, I do all the events. I edit the battles. I edit anything that goes on the YouTubes. Half of the graphics I do myself. So if I sit back and go, right, I'm just going to run behind the scenes, it won't last long until I'm back hosting battles and putting events on. So I need to sort of step away. But yeah, I'll still come to events as a fan. I'll still be involved in Premier Battles as like, you know, if they want me for anything, I'm there. It's not like I'm just going to drop off the edge of the earth. But I feel like it's only fair if I give Premier Battles to someone that they can mould it into what they want it to be, rather than having me sat behind them going, don't do that, don't do that. That's the only fair way to do it, I think. Otherwise, I might as well just stay involved if I'm just going to be behind the scenes.
So no, I can see what you mean, man. And like, it's been like Premier Battles. It's been such a cool journey to watch. But like, even Apex and stuff aside, I can't imagine how difficult it's been just with the UK battlers. I mean, after the first season when Dialect, P Soldier, Soul, you know, Chris Lees, all these people had decided to take a break. I can imagine it was just the whole thing's just been stressful and challenging. Like,
yeah, there's always another issue. It's not like you'll fix one issue and something else will pop up. The thing is, the first year went so well, like everything just went. We had a few hiccups here and there, but what we planned, we pretty much executed, even to the point like the All-Star game the first year. We had so many issues with that people don't even know about. Like, we were 2 days away from cancelling the event from the day it happened. We just managed to salvage everything, and then got into the second year, and we was thinking, right, this is where we really kickstart now. We announced the Shotty Tay-Rock battle. We thought, this is, you know, all the money we made as a company the first year, me and Shotty don't get paid from Premier Battles. Every bit of money it makes goes into the brand. So we thought, right, let's just take a gamble here. Let's just do Apex. All the money we've made, all the profit, let's just throw it into this event. Yeah, and then Apex happened, and it kind of, to be fair, it's still messing things up now. We still owe people money and stuff now. Like, we're just getting to a point where we've almost back in the green. Like, people don't realise we lost over 10 grand on that event. And it does knock you, because, like you say, the All-Star game that's just passed, we didn't intend to have Shotty and John on there. Shotty was only going to do a Tay-Rock battle. And then obviously we had Shufflo and Saurus and Ilmac, which was in talks to headline the 2020 All-Star 2019. So we had to pretty much stop talks on that to make sure Shotty got the battle in that we promised the fans. And then the knock-on effect it's had, it's, do you know how many sleepless nights and shit we had through that one event is mad. But obviously that's part of this game. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. But I run 2 other businesses on the side of this. I can't keep giving so much time to Premier Battles if it's not going the direction I need it to be. And it's not like I'm quitting and walking away from it. I just think it's at a point now where not just me, I think the scene as a whole needs fresh eyes on it. You know, I'm 32 years old now. These kids I'm talking to now that are involved in Premier Battles behind the scenes, who are 23, 24, who understand social media, who understand, you know, making content and stuff that can bring a new element to this scene that can hopefully make it go viral again. Like, things I've been doing for 11 years in battle rap. Maybe it needs a change. So I think this is the perfect time. And it's not just me. I think a lot of the old guards should at some point step aside and let the new generation of these other leagues and young battlers coming through now, like, you know, your major concerns and that, these might be the new faces we need in this scene, because, you know, all the top guys that we went through as fans, they're all retiring, they're all getting old and having kids and getting jobs, and part of this world we live in.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. But yeah, I mean, the whole Apex situation, I'm sure you're sick of discussing it. So I don't really want to focus on what went wrong, because the event that you guys somehow pulled off was fucking incredible, man. Like, Red Flag Raptor, as we said, is amazing. Madflex versus Soul. Madflex is absolutely incredible in that.
Yeah, it's fine.
You know, Madflex, he's one of my favourites at the moment, to be honest. Like I'm a huge fan anyway, but obviously real deal, just the utmost professional. Like he was the only person that was originally booked on the card that showed up to the event, and he probably had the only decent reason for if he wasn't gonna show up, and he was still there and performed incredibly. Like, just, yeah, man. I was saying this to LS Dean a couple of weeks ago. Like, I got to sit on a beach in Thailand watching the pay-per-view, which I can't really complain about, but the whole event was so good, and the crowd was, people still turned up. Like, I was expecting there to be a bit of a hit in terms of people in the crowd. I thought a lot of people would have booked off the back of, like, for example, the URL UK event. From what I've heard, because I wasn't at that event, but a lot of the people in the crowd aren't regular battle rap fans in the UK. I was expecting a lot of those to have booked tickets for Premier Battles, but the room was still pretty much rammed from how it looks on the footage, man. So it must have felt pretty special at the same time to have got there and seen everybody show up, kind of thing.
Oh, mate, we sounds cheesy, this, but like, I can never say thank you enough to everyone that, like, sort of just got involved. Because I'll be honest, like, the day me and Shotty done that live stream was the day we found out Tay-Rock wasn't coming, the day we found out JC wasn't coming. I'd finished work at 5 o'clock, rang Shotty, and I was just like, what do we do here now? Because I'd found out at probably 4:30. So I went and met Shotty. We just said, like, let's just put it all out on the table. This is what it is. Like, there's no point. Usually what we do is, if there's a dropout or something, we'll think of some way to market it so the replacement battle's big, make a little story out of it. But this was too big to the point where we couldn't salvage what we'd promised. And, you know, the tickets were expensive. We had free sponsors on board. That had the promise of Shotty and Tay-Rock. So we was like, what do we do here? So we just sat down, did the live stream. Nothing was planned, and whatever we said just sort of came out. But to be fair, we thought we was going to get hammered. We thought people were going to cause uproar over it, because we'd sold a significant amount of tickets. Like, there was no way we could have even refunded the amount of tickets we'd sold. So it was like, what do we do from here? And then just the reaction to it. But like, people like Chilla Jones reached out. Chilla Jones battled for free against Major. He just basically said, look, if you can get me a flight, I'll come over and battle one of your top up and comers. So he picked Major, and then, you know, Red Flag had already been booked to come over. We was going to bring Red Flag over for the All-Star game. But I hit him up and had gone, yo, could you do Apex instead of the All-Star game? Is there anyone you're interested in battling? And he said, yeah, you know what? I'll fly over and do it. If you can give me someone good. So spoke to Raptor battled for free. Just to make sure something happened on the event. Same with Yunnan. Yunnan obviously fell out with Premier Battles the year before, but we'd been back in conversation. He was like, you know, I'll get back involved. I'll do this battle for free. Jumped on board. Obviously, we still had to pay for, like, flights, accommodations, hotel, cameramen. Like, everything was all. The outgoings were still there. It wasn't like the event just turned into a freebie. And obviously the amount of cash we lost as well was unreal. But yeah, it was overwhelming, mate. I remember being stood backstage with Shotty, and if you ask anyone who was with me on the day when we were setting up the venue, I was shouting at everyone. I was stressing at everything. And that was just because I thought the event was going to be dead. Like, I stood backstage with Shotty. We opened the doors, and I think it was Yanov. Yanov came backstage, and I was just sat there, and he was like, the queue's all the way down the road. So I was like, fuck off. But bear in mind that we'd already sold like 600 tickets, or knew we was probably going to get, in my head, we were probably going to get 300 in the building. But it was a 900 capacity venue, so I was thinking 300 in there is going to look dead. So yeah, I fucking walked out on stage. and it was rammed. The room was rammed, and it was just like I remember being shocked, looking at each other like, "Fucking hell!" You know, people really came through for us on that event, and we can't say thank you enough for that because yeah, we pretty much would have closed. If the reaction would have been like that, we probably never would have done another event.
No, I can appreciate that, man, and it was really good to see because I feel like the UK scene in general I think it's the most sloppy scene in the world, man. Like it winds me up at points, but it made me really happy to see how many people actually turned up and supported that event, to be honest, because like I said, with the URL dropouts, I expected that to have a really big impact, and it didn't seem to at all, which is great. But for my personal preference, like I actually kind of preferred the replacement card as well. So
Yeah, a lot of people said that.
yeah, like I'm not actually a Tay-Rock fan
Yeah,
pretty much at all. Like I like the gun title stuff, but for me, Tay-Rock he falls under the same category as Charlie Clips for me. Like they're incredible performers, but they don't really say anything, and it just I'm not a big fan. Like, but yeah, I mean it's just incredible that you guys pulled that off, and it was amazing to watch. Even as like an outsider that wasn't at the event, it looked incredible, and I'm so glad that it went down the as well as it did. But Shufflo versus Saurus and Ilmac, then is that something that you're still hoping to put on at some point?
I'd love to book it. It's just what's financially doable because, like I say, with the Apex situation, we had two investors at Premier Battles. Them two have both backed out after Apex. We lost every sponsor that we had because of Apex. So it's just what can we make fine? It's, I'm not going to say how much it is because that's their business, but it's a costly battle when you include flights, accommodations, and even Shufflo's travel up from London, and you're talking a good few grand. So yeah, it's definitely Saurus and Ilmac. We spoke to them too. They're both interested in doing it. Shufflo are obviously really interested in doing it. It's just can we make it happen? I'd love to. There's a couple of battles I'd love to do before I step away, and that's definitely one of them.
And can you say what the others are, or is that something that you're keeping to yourself as it might be in the pipeline?
No, I mean, to be honest, everything's in the pipeline. I've got so many things going on right now, but whether we can make them happen is a different story. But I'd love to do Soul versus Respect BA.
Yeah.
What else is he? Soul
It kind of has to happen in Scotland, though, doesn't it, really?
I don't know. I think that's the obvious thing for me as well. I think you do that. This is one of the reasons we did the Shotty and John thing. If I do Soul versus BA in Scotland, it makes sense because they're Scottish, obviously. But I think you're sacrificing the rest of the card to make that happen in Scotland. Bear in mind, it'll probably sell out because it's them on the headline. But you're also going to have to book a couple of the Scottish battlers just to fill it out a little bit. Whereas if you do that in Birmingham or you do that in London or Manchester, you can throw on a Raptor versus a Sensor. Whereas if I do that in Scotland, I've got to pay hotel fees for two battlers, travel fees for two battlers. The card then triples in value. That's for every battler. Like if you book any battler from London, for example, which is where quite a lot of the top tier guys are, fair enough they'll want to do the battle because it's in Scotland. But the financial aspect of that is ridiculous because no one can travel there and back the same night, so it's hotels for everyone. So you're sacrificing half the card there. You'd end up getting Soul versus BA, which would go down amazing in Scotland. But then if you put a couple of the Scottish guys on there, you're probably going to get a couple mid to low tier UK guys that'll do it for free, or do it for a couple of quid where it's not going to cost you too much. Where it'll still be a good card. That's the battle everyone wants to see, or you can make it part of a super card like an Apex card.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. Yeah, I see where you're coming from there. And on the subject, Raptor Sensor, fucking hell, that'd be good as well, man. That's I've never thought about that battle, but I'd love to see that as well. But is there One thing that I'd love to see personally at the moment is, whether it's from yourself or through any other UK
Yeah,
platform kind of thing, I'd love to see a UK and Ireland versus iBattle style event.
yeah.
Like,
We was going to do Premier Battles versus. To be fair, it's probably still on on the table. That was meant to be some point this year, but like I say, this coronavirus thing has just threw everything out that we had scheduled. But
yeah, of
me and Lex
course.
spoke about potentially doing Premier Battles versus High Battle. I know a few of the battlers have got involved in it as well. So yeah, it's something I'd love to do. That's another one as well. It's just working out the logistics of it, what's financially doable, what league pays for what, and where the content goes and stuff like that. But if we
Of
can make
course.
it happen, it's definitely something I'd be interested in. Because like I say, we brought over now Red Flag, real sick. I'd love to bring King Jables over.
Yeah.
There's a couple guys they've got. Sean O'Shaw. There's a few good guys that I've had my eye on. Lex is doing a sick job over there. He knows how to develop talent. So he's someone, Lex, as well, that I'd love to work with. He's a good guy, Lex. So,
Definitely, yeah.
never know
And
what.
just, you're going to get quality from anyone that you book from iBattle, like off the red flag and real sick performances. And like, they don't really have any bad battles since Lex has taken over. And I
No.
just, I feel like there's a lot of battles that make sense. Something else I mentioned to LS Dean, like if I was a promoter and matching LS Dean up with anybody right now, I'd love to see him and Louis Valentine, if you're aware of him.
Yeah, Lou Valentine's nice.
And I just think it makes sense. They're both quite similar, and there's so many good matchups available through doing that event, and it kind of guarantees quality at the same time. So just think it'd be a good move, to be fair. But like, apart from that, is there anybody else that, like, one question I've been asking people, which I can imagine is a bit easier for yourself because you are a promoter and stuff, but
Yeah.
if you were putting on an event that you had like unlimited funds for, is there any matchups that you particularly want to see that you'd fill a card with?
I'd love to make the Shotty Loaded Lux battle happen. Um,
Definitely. That
just
comes up on pretty much everyone's as well, man.
Yeah, we were so close to having that happen. Yeah, that's definitely one I'd love to do. I'd love to do Raptor versus Disaster. Um, and that's like if Raptor was on his A game, Raptor, I think that'd be absolutely phenomenal. Them two. Um,
Agreed.
who else would I like to see? I'd like to see Pat Stay versus Kruger. Um,
Okay.
that's something we tried to lock in, but Kruger won't be. He's just not on battling anymore. We tried to do that for the All Star. Um, who else? There's a few I'd like to see. I'd like to see Yunnan versus that King Jables. I'm a big fan of him at the minute.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
to be fair, Yunnan against anyone, Yunnan pretty much shows up on every battle it does. Uh,
Definitely.
Soul versus Thesaurus would be good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
that's one of mine as well, to be fair.
I want to book Soul versus Thesaurus. That's on my list, but the issue is with Thesaurus, can he get in the UK? And as much as I'm a
What
big,
is it that's stopping him from getting into the UK then?
so he got when he battled, I think he's been declined twice, but it's because he's a professional poker player. So to bring him over, you have to go through work. He has to basically have to pay for a work permit for him to be here, which don't cost a lot. I think they're a couple of hundred, but he's taking the gamble because if you go through all that rigmarole and then he arrives because he's been declined twice. If he gets declined again, you're losing a lot of cash.
Of
Um,
course.
but it's one of them with Thesaurus. He's been to Ireland a few times now, so if someone in the UK books him for an event and he gets in, fine, no questions, and I'll lock that battle in and make that battle happen. The only because we was gonna do the 2-on-2, we was just gonna buy everybody a work permit, which should hopefully you'd think would allow them access to the country because they've been approved. But when someone's been declined twice, it does kind of make you go, especially after Apex, like is this worth it? But we'll see.
No, of course. Yeah, like, for me, Saurus is. I'd probably have to say he's my all-time favourite, just in terms of what he's done for battling. Like, there's you can't really argue with it. He's been the guy just consistently doing battles for, longer than I've been a fan of it. So I'd love to. I've only got to see him live once, which was at the Don't Flop Amsterdam event, if you remember that.
Yeah, Big J and Dirtbag Dan, was it?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
Yeah,
both. I was living in Germany at the time, so like I went to the only events I went to until I moved back to the UK like 5 years ago. Really, was the Don't Flop Berlin event, the Don't Flop Amsterdam event, because I was kind of living smack bang in between Berlin and Amsterdam, so they were both like a 3-hour train journey or something.
Yeah.
And then I flew back from Sweden for 4th birthday, so Shotty Arsenal event, which worked out perfectly. It was an amazing event to come back for, kind of thing. But apart from that, like I went to like an event in a Don't Flop event in Brighton when I was probably like 16. I think I'd just finished my GCSEs.
Yeah.
Which was my first ever event, and it was just a nightmare, to be honest. It was a bit embarrassing. Like I lived fairly close at the time because like my stepdad's in the army, so we moved around all the time, and like I lived like just about half an hour away from Bournemouth, so about 2 hours from Brighton. And I got there, my mum had bought me like 8 cans or whatever to take with me, and I turned up and I drank them all on the train, so I was steaming by the time I got there. And like it was a bit of a surreal moment because obviously I'd been watching all these people on YouTube for ages. So like, because I was young, I was trying to show off and started smoking weed with people, and literally halfway through the first battle pulled the biggest whitey I've ever had in my life and pretty much passed out. And Prince Kong, if he ever listens to this podcast, Prince Kong had to call my stepdad and get him to come and pick me up. So it was not the best first experience, like, but yeah, apart from that, like I missed all of Saurus's performances that he made it to in the UK. So getting to see him in Amsterdam was good, but it was kind of, the crowd was really strange at the Amsterdam event. He battled Archaic and then did like a freestyle battle against Pedro, and it just didn't really get a lot of reaction apart from like the English guys that were in the room. It was just a bit strange to see. So I'd love to see him come over here again, man, and especially if it's for like Seoul or the Shufflo battle, that'd be incredible. But there's a lot of guys that I'd like to see over here as well. For me, I know the Twerk versus Bobby matchup got quite a lot of stick.
Yeah.
I really like that matchup, just in the sense that with people like Twerk, you need to put him up against somebody that he can't intimidate.
Yeah.
And I think Bobby's one of the only people that really fits the bill on that front. And I'd actually really like to see Bobby versus Pat Stay as well.
Yeah, Bobby, Pat Stay. Hopefully, if you get Bobby's one of them, like, I'm good friends with Bobby. If you get Bobby when he actually gives a fuck, he's one of the best in the country. Like, he is. He's pretty hard to beat. So, he's just smashed his battle against Roby. Apparently, he smashed the battle in Sweden as well. So, I think he beat Nilsum Skills or one of them he beat. But yeah, Bobby's one of them. Like, when we booked the Twerk matchup, that was one of the reasons, because we thought, you know what? There's people out there who people go, oh, he should have got the opportunity to go against Twerk, but it doesn't make sense. Like, and this is no disrespect, a lot of people said Rivers should have got it, and for me, I think Twerk would have annihilated Rivers just on stage personality alone. Like, Rivers is a great writer, he's a great performer, but he's quiet when he performs, and he's intricate, whereas with Twerk, it's loud, it's aggressive, it's in your face, whereas Bobby can... Bobby's a big guy. He's not going to be intimidated by someone shouting in his face. He will shout back in their face. And that's what he needed. Whereas if you'd have put Twerk against a sick writer or, someone like a Soul, it just wouldn't have worked, because he would have just spent 3 rounds shouting at him. And the
Yeah,
last thing you want to see is someone trying to wrap their ass off with twerk. You want someone aggressive, someone who's gonna, body check him like he's gonna body check you. And it's the entertainment aspect of it. People on stage want to be entertained, and if someone's shouting at you for 3 rounds and the other person's rapping about, loads of angles and all that, it's not the sort of battle you expect from that, especially with twerk. You want twerk to be energetic.
definitely. And like we've seen that with Seoul versus Arsenal on that World Dom card. Like they're two of the best battlers in the world, but the battle just didn't make any sense and it didn't work whatsoever, in my opinion. Like it was a weird one, but
Yeah,
a lot of people I saw were saying like Take No Talks made sense for twerk, but like from your standpoint, how do you justify giving it to Tox when at that point he hadn't really battled for a long time? Like I think the Bobby battle was just before Apex, is that right? But
yeah,
it was like you can't justify giving Tox arguably the biggest opponent on the planet at that point, like the most talked about battler around, and like it just didn't, it wouldn't make sense for me. So I think Bobby was always the best option.
Yeah, and people don't realise Tox is so hard to book as well. Like you don't want to battle anybody. We've asked Tox to be on the All Star game. We've asked Tox to be on Apex, and he'll just turn battles down. Tox isn't one of these that he'll do any battle that makes sense. Like if I go, do you want twerk? He's not just going to jump at it because it's twerk. Like he has to be excited by it. And I think we was even in conversation with Tox about potentially taking twerk. And if I remember rightly, he said he wouldn't battle twerk just because like, he don't want to be in front of twerk because twerk's pretty much unbeatable right now. Well, it was at that time.
Yeah.
And there was talks of like, we could have potentially done Shotty versus twerk, but at the time, like, let's not get it twisted. Shotty is the second most viewed battle rapper in the world. Tay Rock was the most viewed battle rapper on URL. Twerk was still up and coming, so for Shotty to go against Twerk when he could have had a loaded locks at Tay Rock who generate these millions of views, wouldn't have made sense. Whereas the idea was if Shotty was going to come back, he probably would have gone against Twerk for a second battle or a third battle. But the idea with the Tay Rock battle was basically Shotty going against one of the biggest battle rappers in the world, who at the time was Tay Rock, and generate thousands and thousands of new eyes on the UK battle scene. That's what the whole event was planned for. That's why we went out and got these JCs and twerks, because we know they generate views and attention, and they're going against UK guys who people might not know are battling or even exist. So we thought it pushed Premier Battles into a new realm of sort of interest, and it did for a bit. We got a lot of subscribers from the announcement of Shotty and Tay Rock and Bobby and Twerk, and Bobby went over to Canada and stuff like that. But yeah, things just don't pan out. But yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. Like Bobby and Twerk was for us the best example of a battle we could do. There was no one else we could have given it to. Bar really, Yunan's probably the closest, but it still doesn't appeal to me like Bobby and Twerk does.
No, I see what you mean, and like it's a difficult one with Yunnan because like I love Yunan's performance against Disaster, for example. I think he does everything right in that battle, but it is also slightly awkward to watch when Diz is getting in Yunan's face and stuff, because it's just an awkward thing to watch. And if, say, for example, like I think one thing that I don't like about the UK scene is how inclusive it's become. There's a lot of forum references or fucking in jokes and stuff. That like getting Twerk over is an opportunity to get people that aren't into the UK scene into battle rap. And if he's going up against Yunnan and it looks awkward with Twerk screaming in his face and whatever, it can put people off. So yeah, I completely agree with the decision, man. And like Twerk's one of the only ones where there's still kind of, you guys are still in contact to an extent, and there is a plan to bring him back. Is that right?
Yeah, so Twerk's had, he's had a significant amount of money off us, but he's the only one who stayed in contact after Apex, and his excuse checked out. Like we validated it. made sense. And you know, he's openly said to us a few times, "Look, I know I owe you this amount of money. I still want to come out." We was going to bring him out for the All-Star game, but the idea was if he did no-show the All-Star game and we book him off the back of Apex, we look like the idiots then.
Yeah.
So you know, it's still potentially might bring him out for Apex 2 or see what goes on. The thing is with a lot of these American URL guys is they get fucking convictions all the time. So one minute they can fly, the next minute they can't. So we'll just have to see where we're at with it. It's one of them. He's still on the card, but it's still a gamble whether to book him or not. You know, Twerk's one of my favourite battle rappers, so I would absolutely love to see him live. Just got to hope we can do it. The only other option is potentially doing an event in the States and putting him on that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I remember you saying that there was a plan in place for you guys to head over there as well, which would be great to see in the future. But obviously, it's a logistical nightmare in that sense, isn't it? So it's hard to put these things together. But like, apart from that, like, I mean, Premier Battles had some great plans. One of the things that I admired most about Premier Battles when you guys first started is just the amount of investment you put into UK talent, and I think it's what the scene needed. For me, towards the end of the Don't Flop era, I was sick to death of seeing Charlie Clips, DNA, people like that coming over, and it just got boring. The narrative was boring. There was nothing to get excited about anymore. Whereas I think we needed to rebuild from the bottom, and that seemed exactly like what Premier Battles were doing. Like, I loved the first event. Every battle was great, and it was so good to see. But I like the plans that you guys have for, or I know it's all up in the air at the moment, but for this year, like, I really like the event that I've forgotten the name, so apologies there, but the event that Bloodstro was putting together with like Mackenzie, Johnny Darko, and
Anarchy event.
That's it, yeah. And was it Podge Frankie was going to be on it? And
yeah, Podge, Frankie Fraser, Johnny Darko versus Mackenzie. Shocks the Rebel versus Joey Gambella.
Love that battle.
It was a big 2-on-2 that was on there. We've not announced it yet, but we're trying to lock it in. We've had a few issues with sort of locking the 2-on-2 headlining, so we'll see where that goes. We've not even announced the full card of that because obviously this all kicked in right in the middle of promotion, so we didn't even put a flyer out for it. But as soon as this sort of Corona shit is out of the way, that event will still take place. It just means reshuffling the year.
Nice. I've got a feeling that I can guess what this 2-on-2 might be.
You reckon? Go on.
Is it Bobby and Raptor?
Yeah.
Versus Oops and B Dot?
Nope.
Okay, right.
None of them.
I saw that Oops had plans to come to the UK twice this summer, he said. So I knew he was booked against Yunnan on No Loose Chat.
I will tell you something. Oops and B Dot were potentially going to be the opponents for the other 2-on-2. But financially, they were out of budget, like way out of budget for what we had for the battle.
Right.
So that wouldn't happen. I'd love to bring Oops back over. I've been trying to get B Dot over since the first All-Star game. So hopefully we can get them two over at some point. It's just has to. So what we do is we set budgets for different events. So obviously, for example, Apex has a much bigger budget than like a match day. So maybe we'll see them on a different card. Great 2-on-2. Bobby and Raptor is another 2-on-2 I do want to book in. We've tried to lock them in with 3 different opponents now. Nothing's quite lined up date-wise. But yeah, it's none of them 4.
Right. Okay. Yeah, as I said, I just saw Oops say something about him being booked in the UK twice. He's battling Yunnan at No Loose Chat. I just kind of put together that I thought that'd be the other battle, but because he mentioned that he wanted Yunnan or Raptor, didn't he? So I just put 2 and 2 together. But Yeah. And yeah, I mean that event looked really exciting though, and from what I've seen you say on Twitter and stuff, like Bloodstro's put it together really well, and he's putting a lot of work in behind the scenes too, which is really good to hear. I'm going to be getting Bloodstro on for a chat soon as well, which I'm looking forward to. But yeah, man, like it's an exciting time, and what now that you're kind of moving away from the original team format as such, like,
Yeah.
is there any plans for the year that you can announce, or is kind of with the current situation, has it put everything in the air for now?
Yeah, everything's kind of froze. So the idea was we started the year with the small undisclosed event, which was like LSD and Koj. So the undisclosed events, they're going to be going on. Well, the idea was, this is the idea before Corona kicked in. The idea was Bloodstone was going to run undisclosed events all year, which were going to be like newcomers, maybe people that just haven't broke into any sort of lane in Premier Battles yet, but have appeared on there. Just sort of place where people go and cut their teeth, and then every now and again we'll put like a big sort of headline battle there in the pit in a small room. So, you know, like I'd love to do Major Concerns versus Frankie Fraser in there, and like battles you probably wouldn't see on a big stage, but should be happening. And then we was going to do the Anarchy event, which was going to be our first big event of the year. When I say big event, I mean like, you know, 300-400 cap venues. Going into the academy, we was going to still run the academy this year. I don't know what's going on with that at the minute. But yeah, then Apex 2, we've got 3 battles locked in for Apex 2. Can't announce anything yet just because of the promotion of it. And then finish with the All-Star game again. But everything's up in the air. So what we're going to do now is, when this is all over, we're going to still do the Anarchy event with the same card. We'll announce the 2-on-2 when that's ready. And then we're probably looking to do Apex 2 at the end of the year. So say maybe the Apex event might replace the All-Star game this year.
Okay.
And then we'll just sort of reboot starting 2021. I think we're going to have to just, as sad as it sounds, I think we just have to sort of treat this year as sort of a write-off for everybody, not just Premier Battles, but like, you know, Don't Flop, Talk. It's a shame for people like No Lose Chat, because they've not even launched. This was their first event, which hasn't happened. So, and I know from my perspective, the financial loss we're taking already now because of this. So I know every other league is in the same boat we're in. So it's going to be, you might see a couple of leagues completely fold after this, because it's hard to sort of maintain any sort of steady cash flow. But hopefully, once this is all over, we can throw a big event. And just get the excitement going again. Hopefully the fans don't check out. Everyone's still there when this is over. But yeah,
Definitely.
We've got some big
And
battles.
do you know what? It's a lot of people have disagreed with me on this, and I do understand why. But from my perspective, I think this little break that we've got at the moment could actually be really healthy for the scene, in the sense that I've not been in the forums for a long time. Like, I left a couple of years ago, and I've just recently kind of added myself back to a lot of them to kind of promote this podcast, really. Yeah. But I've found it way too negative over the last few years, and the problem in UK battle rap is people do focus on the negative aspects of it. And
yeah,
I wanted to start this because I felt like Battle Rap Resume isn't included in this, obviously, because what they do is good as well. But most of the overseas podcasters focus on the negative aspects of it as well.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that at all. And I think recently, with everybody kind of being on lockdown and stuff, the amount of people that are getting involved in like just fun content, like little online video battles and tournaments and things like that, people are kind of getting opportunities that they wouldn't normally, like, Nugget getting to the semi-final of the iBattle tournament, and Visual and Frankie are in there, Canal's in there, Bowski and Mackenzie are doing like an online no coast tournament at the moment as well, where Mackenzie's actually about to battle Carter Deems on that. And like, I just think it could potentially be really healthy, and like having a break from events might mean that when everything's a bit more back to normal and events are going on again, people are going to want to travel to them because it's been such a break kind of thing. And I'm hoping that it's a really like I'm hoping it helps the scene in that sense.
No, definitely, I don't disagree with you, to be honest. I think, especially with the way the sort of last few years have gone, it's either gone where there's been too many events or, too big spaces between events and people lose interest. Maybe this is something the scene needs. This is what I was kind of hinting at before as well. Like with me leaving Premier Battles, I think that it does need to be a fresh sort of regeneration of everything this scene is. So maybe this is what it is. Like people have had a break from events. So next time, the next event you're going to go to, you're going to be excited for. You're looking forward to seeing Raptor or Yunnan or Matter or any of these guys because you're not seeing them for, the last event was what? Last big event was the All-Star game. Been a couple small ones, but besides that, the thing is as well, everyone's footage is drying up. We've got 2 battles left to drop and then we're done. Like there's nothing else coming out of the channel. So that'll start hitting people soon as well. So, once you get to a point where, we're not putting battles out, Don't Flop are not putting battles out. I don't think Dub Scand or Gifted Nick Gav, I don't think they've got anything left. There'll be nothing left to watch soon besides old stuff. So hopefully that, brings a few maybe old fans back or a bit of excitement about, what our little weird hobby scene sort of is. And I'm sort of I'm looking forward to the next event. I got to a point where I was despising doing events. Like I just could not be asked doing them just because of all the stress. But I'm actually looking forward to just watching some battles live, which hopefully everyone.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it'd be good, man. And fingers crossed. Everything. There is an improvement after this period that we're in, but definitely keep me posted on the academy as well. I've actually entered, so fingers crossed I get in. I've wanted to battle for about 11 years since I've been into it, but like with living abroad, it didn't make sense, and then I moved back, and I've had 4 tryouts booked that have never happened. So I'm ready to go in that sense. I mean, stupidly, I booked one. The one that looked like it was the most likely to happen was on Grassroots, which was like Blunt Ted and Magic Mike's league in Nottingham. And then I literally found out 2 days before the event, when I'd finished writing and kind of rehearsing my stuff, that the event had been cancelled, which was a bit shit. But I think I've literally still got all of my material in a drawer somewhere because I've written 3 rounds for 4 battles and never got to actually use it. But yeah,
at least you got some writing experience.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, man, keep me posted with the academy because I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. It's been really successful over the last few years, and I'm guessing for yourself, like losing Milky not being able to battle anymore, I bet that's a big loss to like Premier Battles plans for this year as well.
Yeah, it's more to feel sorry for Milky, to be honest. Like, obviously, I'd have loved to work with Milky this year. We had a couple ideas of his next opponents. We wasn't going to rush him into anything. We was already talking about when his next battle would be, and then this happens. But it's just part of what it is. Milky, funnily enough, I've been speaking to Milky today, so the academy's still going to go ahead. But what we're going to do is we're still going to keep teams this year, and it's going to be one team's going to be managed by LSD and one team's going to be managed by Milky this year.
Okay, I like that.
So obviously 2 former winners. There's no one better to talk to than the 2 people that have been through the tournament and won it. So we're going to set that up. That's literally, we just sorted that out probably an hour before I came on the call to you. So Milky will still be involved with Premier Battles. I might get him involved in a bit of content on the side and stuff, but as for battling, yeah, it's a shame. Maverick's another one. Maverick has pretty much stepped out of battle rap because of his job now as well. So, we've lost 2 exciting names there. But yeah, hopefully we get to see him back. If we don't, mate, it's just sort of, it's part of life, isn't it? There'll be 2 more battlers that'll come through hopefully within the next year or so, and really spark up some excitement. Georgie Roots looks like he's one of them kids that's making a lot of noise. So yeah, we'll just see where we're at. It's just, I like working with exciting young battlers because they're the ones that have kept me going. You know what I mean? They bring excitement to it.
No, definitely, man. And I'm still expecting massive things from Visual this year. I'm sure you've seen the Carney battle over in Ireland, and
Yeah.
fucking hell, man, that guy's extremely talented. It's good to see these people coming through again. But Major, obviously, as well. Major is,
Yeah, Major's been
I think he's up there with some of the best writers that the UK have ever had, man. I really do think that highly of him. So
yeah,
there's definitely talent still
no,
available.
definitely.
But I mean, apart from that, mate, that is pretty much the battle rap questions kind of done with now. But I've I've become like a fan of your music, and obviously there's so many talented musicians involved in the battle rap scene, man. But I feel like battle rappers' music gets criminally underlooked. Like one of the sections of this show that I want to do is once I've got some more subscribers, I'm gonna start like doing weekly music, like not reviews as such, but just trying to promote battlers' music a bit more. Um, I know you've got involved as Shotty's manager as well, but do you have any plans musically this year? Like, have you got any projects coming up?
I've got a few things to be honest. Um, Battlers' music definitely does take a hit. Like, I was a musician before I got into battling. That was where my sort of hype and interest was. I did quite well for a bit. When you get involved in battling, it does take a hit because you take all your time making, writing battles rather than making music. Um, and anyone who sort of battles will tell you that you have to come out of battle rap to really have a good go at your music again. Like, look at Lunacy and Shotty, for example. Brucey as well. Like, so yeah, it's just now I'm slowing down with actually battling myself. I think I've done 2 battles in 2 years or something now. Yeah, I'm writing again. I put Seaford out about 2 weeks ago. I've got about 5 or 6 songs ready to go. Just gonna see sort of what happens this year. I'm back in the studio, so hopefully, mate. I don't want to promise anything because I say all the time I'm gonna put loads of new music out and I just never do. Um, but yeah, if I'm not battling anymore, this will definitely give me more of an avenue to go down. Me and Shotty are in the process of sort of setting up it's like a studio sort of thing in Manchester. So that'll give me access to be around, more equipment and get actual music done outside of battle rap. But yeah, I'll definitely sort of keep you in the loop with that, mate. It'd be a good idea to get someone covering battlers' music because there's so many sick rappers out there that are just not getting a look in.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like, I'm a huge fan of the new wave Oasis project that you released, and like
Cheers, mate.
even like Blizzard, I find is quite often overlooked as well. I don't think he often gets the props he deserves, and he's still pretty big music wise, but
Yeah, he's an incredible musician, Blizzard.
he makes great beats. He's a great rapper. He's just a great all rounder, and there's also like a lot of people that you've brought through recently with your our kid podcast, which I'm a big fan of as well. By the way, I've checked all of those out so far. But Bobby Hanzo, man, fucking hell, that guy's good.
Yeah, he's good, Bobby, innit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good. And XP as well. I was aware of XP beforehand, but he's also kind of not kind of got the props that he deserves as well, I think. But
Yeah. No,
no,
that's my favourite grime artist. Like, he's incredible, XP. He still makes original grime music like not a lot of people do anymore. Uh,
no,
but yeah,
definitely.
this is definitely one to check out. He's been on Lord of the Mics and that as well.
I didn't know he'd been on Lord of the Mics. Actually, I'm gonna have to check that out. I've been a bit slack with Lord of the Mics since like Devilman and Skepta, to be honest. But
Yeah, I think he's
like,
classed. I think he's classed a Dolph Flop as well.
yeah, I remember him doing that the same event that Manchester Hypes
Yeah,
went against Brucey. I think it was. Was it Pedro that he went against?
No, for Don't Flop, I think he went again. Was it Cannon maybe? Not too sure. Let me have a look. It was definitely AK from Sheffield.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, I do remember seeing that, and I'm a fan of AK as well, so that I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to rewatch that, I think. But yeah, I just feel that most battlers' music gets slept on, and it needs to be pushed to a wider audience. Like it's not even just UK either. I think a lot of the Americans' music gets slept on. Like Chef Trez makes some good music, and
Yeah.
I've never really heard anyone talk about that and stuff. So yeah, it's just
Super.
something that I want to do. But like in terms of yourself, like is there any lesser known musicians that like myself or the listeners might not be aware of that you're a big fan of?
Oh, good question. I'm listening to a lot of Children of Zeus at the minute. I think a lot of people know who they are.
Yeah, I love them, man. I'm like a big I collect a lot of vinyl and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've got their most recent album on vinyl, and it's probably my most played album at the moment. Like I love that stuff.
Yeah, I've known Tyler and Connie for a good few years, so it's good to see them sort of getting their recognition because of Salt, especially Tyler. Tyler's been making music for since before I was making music, and that's going back 18 years or something now. Um,
He's done quite a lot with Shotty, is that right?
yeah, they're from the same sort of area. I've probably known Tyler for 12 years now, so sort of before Children of Zeus, like he was in UK team, and sort of they were the guys that were really sort of underground in the Manchester scene, but were before your Bugsies and your H and all that, they were like top in the city. You know what I mean? If you were from Manchester, you knew who these guys were. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, they're sick. There's a few guys I like. I like Striker from Manchester. Um,
Okay, yeah.
there's a kid called. He used to be called Eazer, but I think he's changed his name to Eddie's World now. He's called. Um, there's a couple to be honest. I like Hex from Nottingham. I don't know if you've heard of Hex.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've seen a couple of things from him. I'm not massively aware of him, but I have seen some stuff, and he's good.
Yeah, and he's more sort of the auto-tune, melodic, Post Maloney style, but he's good music to just vibe and chill to. Trying to think on top of my head, to be honest. I'm one of them, yeah. I literally listen to absolutely anything. I'm not one of them guys that'll just put an artist on and listen to the album all day. Like I'll just spin a Spotify playlist. Um,
Yeah.
but I've just been getting back into the American artists, so I'm big into like your Trippie Reds and all that in a minute. So, but
Okay.
obviously Griselda as well. I'm into them. I've got such a
Yeah.
wide taste.
Yeah, me too, man. I like hip hop. I'd probably say if I had to pick my favorite genre, it would be hip hop. But like, I listen to all sorts of stuff, so I know where you're coming from. But what would you say is like the best live act you've ever seen, or like the best gig that you've attended?
Oh, I've been to a few. I've been to a few good ones. Funnily enough, I said this. I went randomly to this gig, and fucking Justin Timberlake years ago. From a,
Okay.
I know it's a left field choice, but from a performance element, I've never seen someone work a stage like that. Um, and obviously being an artist as well, like you take away things just by watching it. And that was a gig I went to randomly, but it's one of them ones that's all, when a gig sticks with you. Uh,
Yeah. No, of
it's
course.
rap wise, probably I've been to see Jay Z a few times. Jay Z's phenomenal live. Um,
Nice.
I went to J Cole's first ever UK show when he did the warm up EP. There was probably only 30 people there, and that was one of the best performances I've seen. Um,
Oh, sick. I love that EP as well. I think it's his
yeah,
best work.
oh, definitely that was such a sick CD. Um, yeah, probably them. There's a couple I want to see. I'm so gutted I missed out on Mac Miller. Um, I've been a huge
Yeah, man.
fan for years. I just never, every time he was in Manchester for some reason or other, I just wasn't available. Um, Machine Gun Kelly, I'd love to see live because I've been following him since he had like 100 followers on Twitter, sort of thing. Like,
Okay.
um, Yeah, that probably. To be honest, a lot of the best gigs I've been to have not been hip hop.
No, that's fair enough, man. I agree as well. Like for me, like I think one of the most recent like big gig that I went to was the Prodigy's last ever show, so that like stands out for me. And
Yeah.
yeah, Justin Timberlake, man. To be fair, like I'm not into a lot of poppy stuff and never really have been, but I've got a bit of a soft spot for Justin Timberlake in that sense. So I'm quite jealous about that, to be fair. But no, it's a good list, man. And on the subject of Children of Zeus, I'm actually meant to see them this summer, so I hope that everything clears up before then. But
Have you seen
I've
them
got
live
tickets
before?
for no, I've
Oh,
not
mate,
seen them yet.
phenomenal live.
I can imagine, and we've got me and my girlfriend. She got me tickets for Outlook Festival in Croatia for Christmas.
Yeah,
So
I was there about not last year, year before I was there.
okay, yeah, I went 10 years ago, so
Bloody hell.
she kind of thought that it was one of my favourite festival that I've been to. So she booked tickets for this like 10 years later kind of thing, which I'm over the moon with. But yeah, hopefully that still goes down and I get to see Children of Zeus there, man, because
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan and love to see him live. But and apart from that, mate, I'm finishing the show with three. They are very random questions.
Yeah.
The first one I know the answer to for you, unfortunately, but your favourite sports team's United, isn't it?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, Liverpool fan myself, so not going to go into football too much at the minute because I don't know what's going on. But I mean, you're doing work behind the scenes for Man United, though, is that right?
Yeah, I work full time for Manchester United, yeah.
That's amazing, man. Have you got to like meet anybody behind the scenes and stuff then?
Yeah, pretty much everyone, mate. So I work for the content team, so I do all the videoing and editing for the club. So um, anything from kit launches to player signings, I'm pretty much working on.
Class. That's really cool, man. But that must be a pretty special moment, like meeting sort of players and stuff for the first time as well.
Oh yeah, he's still I've pretty much met everyone now. I don't think there's one. The only person I didn't meet was Pogba, but I luckily got to work with him just before this all kicked in, so I pretty much ticked everyone off. Yeah, and
Crazy.
it's a bit surreal, especially when you just sat one on one with him, sort of thing. Like I did been working on a documentary series with some of the players, so I got to spend some time with like Scott McTominay, Rashford, Axel Tuanzebe. So it's just one on one time, just you and them. It's sort of a bit surreal because these are sort of like your heroes in some ways. Like I'm a diehard United fan, so yeah, it's takes a minute to get used to. I'll tell you that.
I can imagine, man. That's so cool though. Like the stuff that you've kind of got involved in after battle rap. Like obviously you were a big part in uni lad for a long time as well. Like there's been some really cool projects going on in your end, mate. So it's
Yeah.
good to see. But the the next question, like if you could pick one destination in the world for your next holiday or like trip away or whatever, where do you want to go most in the world?
Uh, just because I've not been yet and it is on my list, I'd love to go to like California, Hollywood, sort of, just to
Yeah,
experience that sort of side of the world. Just because you see it on everything, don't you? So I want to see if it is what you see on the TV.
yeah, of course. I've I'm actually planning to go to Town Business 3 this year, so again, hopefully that still happens. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm hoping to fly over there for that because North America is the only continent I've not been to at the moment. So
yeah,
I just like Town Business. So far, they've looked like incredible events, so it just gives me a reason to go, kind of thing. But
yeah. King of the Dot events are brilliant as well. So well run. Um,
yeah,
definitely advise anyone that's never been, especially if you can get to one in Canada as well. I went to the one in Toronto and it was yeah, it was different. It was worlds away from anything I've been to professional wise.
yeah, I can imagine. To be honest, I feel like I might have kind of missed my chance to go to a Toronto event, though. It doesn't seem like they're doing any events there anymore, which is a shame. But hopefully sometime in the future I'll get to do that as well. But
Yeah.
what's like your favourite place that you've been to so far?
I probably would say Toronto. Toronto or Johannesburg, for different reasons. Toronto was incredible. I'd move my family to Toronto tomorrow if I could. Johannesburg, just for like the humbling feel of it, like it was an eye opener. It was an amazing experience. But yeah, I'd probably say Toronto is my all-time favourite place to go.
Nice. Is Shotty still kind of back and forth between Manchester and Toronto as well, or is he back here like full time now?
Not as much as he was. So he used to spend 6 months in Toronto, 6 months in England.
Yeah.
He's a bit more English based now, but yeah, he's still back and forward. Obviously, he had to deal with Sony Canada, so that's where the base is, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's mainly over here, but he still goes back and forth.
Nice. Okay, and the final question. It's I've had some weird answers to this so far, but you can pick one sweet and one savoury, but what's the go-to snack?
Oh. A pack of Monster Munch.
Pickled onion, yeah.
Nah, flaming hot.
Oh no, come on.
Flaming hot.
Pickled onion all day.
Yeah, no, I'm a flaming hot guy. Mainly because nobody else eats them in my house, so I get lumped with the flaming hot crisp. So.
Fair one.
And what else do we need? A sweet?
Yeah.
Ooh, pack of Maltesers.
Okay, no, I rate that. I like that.
Solid choice.
Mate, I think I've pretty much moaned about him on every episode since, but LS Dean said chocolate raisins, and it still makes me feel sick now.
Chocolate raisins? That's what you eat when there's nothing left?
Exactly, yeah. And then Jolly J, I think it was, said like Marmite Twiglets, and I nearly cut the call off there and then, but
yeah, it's Germans think that.
Yeah, definitely. But no, Briggsy, mate, it's been amazing talking to you, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come on. I know you're still really busy, even though most of us are in lockdown, so I really appreciate your time. But is there anything that you wanted kind of plugged in the description at all? Like, obviously, I'll put your Twitter and all that kind of stuff in there, but is there anything else you'd like included?
No, nothing, mate. Just appreciate you having me on. Keep up the good work as well, mate. You look like you've been smashing it for the last few weeks.
Yeah, doing my best, man. And it's like I said, it's just one, it keeps me busy, and two, I'm really enjoying it. Like I haven't really had much of an opportunity to properly sit down and kind of chop it up with battlers before, so it's getting people from all over the world involved, and it's just been fun to do. So, but I'm definitely planning on keeping it going past the lockdown stage as well. I work like 48 hours a week and do 2 days in one go, like I sleep overnight at work and stuff. So it's something I can keep going long term now as well. But it'd be great to have you on again soon, mate. And I'm really looking forward to the next event, man.
Yeah, man. Hopefully the next time I'm on, we've got an event to talk about. Just out anything you want to talk to me about, mate. Just give me a shout.
Definitely, man. But yeah, I really appreciate it, mate. And I hope you and the family stay safe over there, man.
Appreciate that, brother. Have a good day.
You too. Take care, mate.
See you later, mate.